Greetings, everyone. Back to work on this short story concept again. And we'll set up the next panel. So the weather is definitely fall where I am. How's the weather been for you as of late? Hopefully good. Oh well. There really isn't much that you can do about the weather, to be honest with you. Just gotta experience it or move. So now, as part of the little story, I have a baby crying. And oddly enough, this isn't the same baby. We'll get there, though. You may notice to my left that I don't have something tracking the time. Not a big deal. Reason for that, of course, if I wish to really admit what's going on, it's that I'm letting it charge. So there you go. Behind the scenes stuff. How fortunate. Whenever I travel on airplanes, some of my favorite things is when a child cries. Now that might sound ridiculous, but hear me out. I am under the impression that when a child cries, it's more to do with experiencing, well, life. So, for the most part, children don't have a lot of experience with life. That's one of those like super duper, obvious things. But everything that a child or a baby experiences is probably the most traumatic, dramatic thing in their life. Like they may not have felt pressure inside their ears quite the same ever before. That's a good reason to scream. So when you're comparing, what you may have experienced yesterday to what you're experiencing now, and this is the most extreme thing, that's probably a good reason to cry, don't you think? And for the parent that's on board, I mean, how do you try to explain to a child that doesn't really, speak the same language as you, because they don't really speak? How do you explain to that child, oh yes, you can just try to pop your ears by yawning or eating or drinking something or chewing gum, which babies don't do, of course. I don't recommend that babies chew gum. Anyway, that's why babies might cry. So I don't think that's a bad thing. When adults start freaking out on an airplane, I'm not a fan. These are people that should know better. Or at least control themselves a lot better. So that I find a lot more uncomfortable. I don't think I've actually freaked out on an airplane myself. I've had moments where landings were pretty rough, and yeah, I don't know if I let out a yelp or anything like that, but I probably was taken aback, I suppose. Anyway. Crying babies, though, not that bad. Left myself lots of room, good. So yeah, no, to me, flying is kind of a privilege. I don't think it's your right as a citizen of this world to fly as you see fit, where you see fit. And the people that are on the airplane with you, you should be a little more courteous of them. And that includes the staff. They're hoping to just get to that destination as well without too much trauma and drama. That's always the hope. I'm just trying to think scale-wise what I'm going to do here. If you're so lucky to have found ways to travel privately on airplanes, congratulations to you, I guess. Only once in my life, really, have I been on an airplane where I was amongst the few passengers. I was on a single prop airplane. So that's not the same as flying private, I suppose. Babies are funny. I think in the last video I talked about bears and how, the cute versions of them we should probably be wary of. Well, if you're ever in the woods and you see a little baby bear and you think, how adorable, you probably don't need to stick around there. You don't have to try to worry if, that little bear has been abandoned, or you can let a ranger know or some sort of authority know. But here's a secret that you probably all know. There is a good chance that that little bear is not alone. And so what I mean by that is, rather than you wait around to see if the little baby bear, is being looked after, you might want to get out of there and then let somebody know. Because you don't want to be seen as a threat in the eyes of the mama bear. Oh, that wouldn't be good at all. Bears have tremendous strength, and you don't really want to play games with an animal like that. So yes, mama bears, they are awesome. So this mama bear is wearing a necklace. And we're going to make sure that mama bear has a good grip on her little baby bear, as mama bears do. Are these type of necklaces still kind of popular? I don't know if they are or not. You know, it's something that you'd put a picture on the inside. Not something that I would wear necessarily. I think most people nowadays, if they have pictures that they hold near and dear, they keep them in their phones. And hope that the power doesn't go out, or they lose battery, I should say. Do the next one. Ooh. That's a weird little mark on that. I don't know where that came from. A little drop showed up somewhere. All right. We'll either make do with it, or we'll correct it after the fact. because we are crafty. And that's part of what we do, is we make do. Admit though, if I was in the woods and I saw a little baby bear, I'd be curious about taking a picture, but my goodness, I would not want to stick around. As I said, I would assume that that little bear is not alone. This is a slight zoom in on the face of this little baby. We're going to add a little bit more detail. Just a little bit more. Suppose if I was way craftier, I would have had these other curls going the other way, but in my mind, I don't think it's necessary. And I'm the person holding the pen, after all, so I decide. Yeah, that little blotch is annoying me. Let's see if we can get rid of it. Not really. I may have to use whiteout or just live with it. Whiteout wouldn't really work so great on this kind of paper because it would be way too obvious. And we are, after all, way craftier than that. Aren't we? Sort of. And now we're going to try to mirror that part of the heart just a little bit. And we'll put in the hinges or the hinge. Let's say it's a single hinge. So this type of locket, some people would put pictures in it as well as hair, I guess. And let's say right about here, you'd have the means by which to join to a chain. I don't wear a chain in my everyday life either. There's something interesting about jewelry to me. And if you work around machines, you probably don't really wear ties or, well, jewelry anyway, because they could easily get caught in the machine, and that's not a good thing. I kind of feel that way about jewelry. Not wanting to get it stuck in things. So yeah, we'll figure this out after. 'Cause, what I can turn into that, I don't know yet. For that fun little mistake. Of course, it was my fault. So who else can I blame? Gremlins. Gremlins do that kind of stuff. I think I know how I did it. So this type of pen, this type of fountain pen, if you try to move different directions with it, the tines, so at the end of this thing, if you can kind of see that, they might split apart. Kind of like that railroading kind of thing that might happen, but it also might let more ink out. And I think that's what I did back here. I might have drug the pen backwards. So just being careless, I think, was the fault. Anyway, I've been alive long enough that I shouldn't have made that mistake. But does it matter? Does it though? Probably not. Again, I'm the person holding the pen. More little miniature drawing here. Now this particular pen, it is pretty good at detail work, and it's pretty good at putting in a fair amount of ink at one time. If necessary. So I think it treats me reasonably well. Just so you know, I'm not feeling particularly rushed with this. And nor do I have to be, I suppose. this collar back on. Put the heart back here. So this could be an interesting story when it's done. But not too outlandish. Just putting a little bit of extra detail into this face. Just because it's fun. So if you can kind of figure out a couple of things so far, what's going on here. This particular bear here is sort of like the grown-up version of this particular bear here. I know that might be stating the obvious, but that's what I'm going for. You would have got there. I'm sure of it. Now in my mind, I sort of debated whether or not certain parts of what would be the Grampy Bear would be more obvious, I suppose. But I figure the hair might do it. Silly. Just putting in a little bit more detail here. Again, I'm the one holding the pen. And if it isn't sort of obvious to some of you, I do enjoy smaller drawings at times. I find them to be a pretty fun challenge. So this one could be that we're back in present time. The next day, let's say. The two are out for a little walk. And of course, when you're walking with someone who is so much taller than you have to take a lot more steps to keep up. You know, this might be a good time to see about, well, maybe after. If I can remember where I would put something. I may have to find it after. That's funny. All right, let's start the next panel. Since we are moving quite along, I think the first one was just under, like the last video was just around 45 minutes. And then this one will end up being just a little bit more than an hour, but we will have moved along considerably. Much like I said a little bit before, I may have let a little bit more ink out. At the beginning of that one, I kind of felt a little bit more than normal tension, maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely. Ooh. We got to become a little bit more aware of that. Now this one's a slight bit more of a close-up. I think just for recognition's sake. Let's add this little bit of hair. Like a little signature. something that happens when you are around balloons. You know that you must keep track of them. I know people that don't really like balloons because they can potentially pop. And some people, they don't like to be startled. I guess most people don't really like to be startled, honestly enough. I will admit I am in some ways indifferent to balloons. I kind of get that they're neat. I don't know if they're really my thing, though. But they're neat. So we're going to end this video pretty much here. I'm just going back over the lines, make sure that they are reasonably well defined. Give a little bit of a collar to this t-shirt. Well, there we go. So a little bit more than an hour to do those 6 compared to 45 minutes roughly to do those three. So we'll see how many more it'll take just to get this part of the story done. I'll let this dry a little bit, and maybe I'll figure out something with that, or I'll turn it into something else. Anyway, but yeah, so using something like this for a straight edge, it's kind of neat to do, and you know, customize it yourself as well. All right, well, that's it for this video for now. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you again at some point in the near future.